So finally watched the pilot of Lanterns. Got home from the gym with dinner, sat down, we watched it. I liked it a lot. Sent Tom a text this morning, told him I dug it. Looking forward to more. Can't wait for next week. And we're probably going to see about having him on the show, have him on the podcast while the season is still airing. I'm a big Green Lantern, specifically Hal Jordan. I'm a big Green Lantern fan. Thanks to Gil Kane. Gil Kane is the reason why I adore Green Lantern. He's one of my favorite artists. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man artists from his run on Amazing Spider-Man, and my Spider-Man tattoo will likely be a panel from one of his issues. So while Superman is, the be-all and end-all for me, Green Lantern was a massive pull into the DC universe for me way back when. And following Showcase 22, when we get Green Lantern's ongoing, it's all the Gil Kane artwork, and then eventually we get the Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams run with Hard Traveling Heroes, and then Mike Grell pitches in. We get Dave Gibbons artwork later on. We get, of course, that awesome Joe Staton artwork going all the way up to issue 200, which coincides with Crisis on Infinite Earths back in the mid-'80s. That series ended with 200, and then 201, we get the Green Lantern Corps, and that runs for a few years. Then the series is canceled, and then a few years later, the 90s, we get a new Green Lantern ongoing, and because we have 3 Green Lanterns on Earth, we got different stories with a different creative team, different artists. You had Pat Broderick penciling the Hal Jordan stories, Joe Staton penciled the Guy Gardner stories, and Mark Bright, MD Bright, he drew the John Stewart stories. And eventually John Stewart gets his own series. John is the Green Lantern, basically the protector of Mosaic, which was a fun little spin-off. Green Lantern Mosaic, great run. If you can find it, you can find it, but pick it up if you can. Awesome Cully Hamner art. I enjoyed that series a lot. I'd love to see that become a live action story. And it was during that Green Lantern ongoing that 48, 49, we get that Emerald Twilight storyline, and with, of course, Hal snapping. And then we are introduced to a new Green Lantern for 50, and that my issues, my attitude towards Kyle Rayner may have lessened over the years. I am still not a fan of how he was introduced, how he became Green Lantern. For those of us who, are familiar with the lore and how a lantern is chosen, to see Ganthet escape Hal's wrath and ire, barreling to Earth, finding some dude pissing in an alley behind a bar and giving him a ring, that bothered me too. Now, I wasn't a member of Heat, and that's a fun little bit of trivia if you want to look that up, HEAT. And I get it, as Ron Mars has said, if the number of people who were angry over what happened to Hal and the introduction of Kyle, if that same number were actually buying the comic, it would have never changed. It would have never turned Hal. It would have never introduced a new Green Lantern. But I ain't gonna lie, the Darryl Banks art was nice. But I did kind of bail on Green Lantern after Kyle was introduced, because I was turned off by it. I was not a fan. Don't like the way they treated my boy, so I felt some kind of way. And then thankfully, Jeff Johns, being the fan of continuity and the Silver Age, he made it right, so I ain't mad anymore. Anyway, knowing what my history of Green Lantern and Hal Jordan, I was really excited about a live-action Lantern show. And I'm happy it's here. and I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought the characterization of Jon Stewart was fantastic. It was probably in my head canon, but you know, when he was running through the school trying to catch the alien, and then he did the dip and cut through the school. In my mind, that was his knowledge, his love of architecture. You know, he knew exactly where to go. Never been in Nebraska before, I don't think. So to know his way around the school like that, probably figuring out floor plans and how things are designed. As I said, I'm probably just filling things in because I don't think they really mentioned too much about architecture. He talked about what he imagined, what he constructed surviving the car crash, but I don't think anything was really mentioned about architecture. Anyway, thought Kyle Chandler's Hal was solid. Aaron's Jon Stewart was fantastic, but I'm okay with a grumpy, cynical, jaded Hal, especially as he's gotten older. Not sure how I feel about maybe one or two theories I've seen regarding this version of Hal. I don't know if that's going to just kind of like have me relive some emotions. Anyway, really enjoyed Lanterns. Hope you check it out. Let me know what you thought, if you did see it. Yeah, you'll probably hear more about it on the podcast. Jason being away, probably won't see it until he returns from vacation. I'm not sure if Vince is going to watch it, but I might talk about it a little bit on the podcast this week. So, yeah, those are just my Lanterns thoughts. I'm excited, and I do trust Tom King. I do trust Damon Lindelof. I'm a Lost fan. I'm a Watchmen fan. So, yeah, I'm optimistic. So hopefully, and Tom will hear about it if I'm not feeling it. Goddamn ducks and geese. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.